Hello, hello. Man, it's almost the end of February, and I feel like I really haven't been in front of the camera. I haven't been in this chair that much. And it's like, it feels weird recording this video because it feels like I've been away so long just working on everything in my, in the background, things that I talked about earlier this year that I will get into in this video. But I just wanted to say that it feels good to be back, and I'm still working on being here more in this chair, in front of this camera, on YouTube in general. But before I get into everything that I want to get into today, first things first, as always, if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you've never seen my face, never seen one of my videos, my name is McKenna. I own a digital media company called Studio SB Creatives. And today, I just want to talk about some things that are and have been on my mind the last couple weeks. Just let you know what I've been up to and, what we're going to be getting into in the future. But the reason that I'm making this video today is because about a week ago, a little over a week ago, was my 27th birthday. And I've been having a lot of feelings, and I've been doing a lot of thinking about things since I turned 27. It's a really weird place to be. 30 is right around the corner for me, and I'm starting to realize that my life is starting to feel like it's fleeting. I don't feel old per se. I don't feel like I'm running out of time, but things in life are just moving faster than I anticipated, and I feel like I've been less productive than I probably should have been. Like, if we look at the last couple years, I believe that I was 23 when I started Studio SB. And in those years, I've gotten used to and learned how to run a business. Starting it up, getting all the things filed, getting a CPA to do my taxes, just figuring out like basic operations for running your own business. And I think I've had an easier time than some people just because my business itself has been predominantly digital. I haven't had to show up to, a store every day. I didn't have a whole lot of startup costs. I didn't have a whole lot of stress going into it. I was stressed because I couldn't find a job straight out of school, but I built the business because of that. And I built it with nothing, from nothing, and it has so far been supplying me the last 4 years. And that is thanks to the two companies that have given me contracts and been consistently giving me work the last couple years. But since I turned 27, I realized that since I started my business to the point where I am today, that not a whole lot has changed and not a whole lot of growth has taken place. And realizing that I am, just around the corner from 30, I still have a couple years to go, but, I'm close enough now that I believe that I am officially in my late 20s. And my birthday was a really stressful day. Not because anything happened, not because anything went wrong. It was a day full of feelings. And basically what those feelings was me trying to figure out what has happened in the last couple years that I feel like I really haven't done that much. And I've been sitting and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. And, I sometimes I feel like I should be further along than I am. I feel like I should be in a different place. And that's because I want to be in a different place. I want to be already successful. I want to already have the things that I want. I want to already have the life that I have envisioned for myself. And I feel like I haven't really done a whole lot to get me there. And that was a really hard pill to swallow that day. And I don't think it's because I've been lazy. I just think that it's because things are moving at a slower pace than I expected them to. Because if we look at what happened when I was 23, I had just graduated college. I had been out of college for about a year, maybe, and I had nothing. I had an apartment that was being paid for by my mother. I had no job. I didn't have money. I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything, and I was out of options. I couldn't find a job. My mom was about to stop paying my rent, and who was I to complain? Though it made sense that I should have at some point, if not earlier, sucked it up and just gotten something to cover the bills and swallowed my pride and figured something out. But it's not like I was just sitting on that year between school and starting this company where I was doing nothing. And in that time, I was applying to jobs. I was trying to find work as a photographer. I was trying to figure out how to make any money at all. And I was focused on my music and just trying to stay afloat and trying to make something work. And I was struggling and I was failing. And it was just a really rough time. And right around the time that my mom was saying that she couldn't pay my rent anymore, that I needed to find a job even if I hated it, it was right around that time that I started Studio SB with a friend of mine. Well, I started Studio SB before that conversation, but it hadn't really done anything with it. But right around that time is when I started getting real work, when I got my first contract doing design for my buddy's company out in Las Vegas. And I got the contract doing real estate photography that I still do to this day. Both of those contracts are still active to this day. But fast forward from 23 to 27, not a whole lot of growth has taken place. I figured out how to run my company. I figured out, all the things I need to do to run an LLC, a small business. But I have not taken a whole lot of steps to grow it. I started this YouTube channel. I started posting, short videos on TikTok and Instagram. And that was pretty much the extent of my marketing, of my growth process. And when 27 hit the other day, I looked at myself and I was like, what have you been doing the last few years? Where, one, has the time gone? And two, you're right around the corner from 30. Are you going to go into your 30s having nothing to show for your 20s besides a couple $1,000 in the bank and a little piece of paper that says you graduated college? Like, is that really all that you're trying to accomplish before you hit your next decade? And I told myself, absolutely not. No way am I going to go into my 30s, having built nothing. And I think that part of the problem, like I said, isn't that I've been lazy and not that I haven't been trying, but it's that my goals and my dreams are so much higher than I'm able to achieve right this very second. I want to own real estate one day. I want to own, multifamily houses, maybe even an apartment building of some sort in the future. And I'm sure that had I really applied myself and taken some risks and raised some capital from private lenders, that maybe I would have already begun that journey. But what I really wanted to do in those first couple years was build myself a strong foundation, build myself a safety net, build myself something that if I did fail, if I tried something and it didn't work out, that I wasn't completely SOL. I wanted to make sure that I was taken care of and got myself to a point where I could start taking risks. And I looked at myself the other day and I said, maybe it's time that I finally start taking some risks. Now, I don't know if I've discussed this particular idea on here or even mentioned it at all on social media, but I want to say about a year ago, but maybe it was the last couple of years, I've had this idea where I want to start a photography/videography studio. And I've been wanting to do it for a while, in part with owning real estate. And I haven't had the money to really get started or to seriously consider it. And I think I'm to the point now that I think that it might finally be time for me to start actually taking some risks. And I think I'm going to start with that studio. So it is currently, I believe, February 22nd today. This upcoming Wednesday, I have an appointment to meet with a broker. And we're going to go look at a building where I plan to set up the studio. And I've been looking at buildings the last couple months, but I haven't really found anything that had all the specific things that I wanted it to have. But I was just perusing Google the other day and was looking at commercial real estate for lease. And I'm scrolling, and I see something. Click on it. Yep, has that. Yep, has that. Yep, has that. And I'm just going down the list, checking things off. I'm like, has it. big enough to do this, has a room like that to do that. So I'm sitting here looking at this building and I'm texting a couple different people, my mom, another photographer that I work with who I brought this idea up to months ago and was asking for their advice, for their opinions on it. I'm like, what do you think about this? What do you think about the area? What do you think about, do you think it would be big enough if I wanted to do these specific things in there? And they're all saying, yes, I think that you should go at least look at it. I think that you should, I fully support this. I think that, you've built up this idea long enough that you have a really good grasp on what you want to accomplish with it. And I think that, if you go with it and you take this risk, that I don't think that you would have any problem succeeding in this venture. And I'll tell you what, as a small business owner, as somebody who likes to really think through risks and take calculated risks, if you will, I was kind of hoping that they would talk me out of it just a little bit. There was a part of me where I was kind of hoping where they'd be like, maybe it's not the best idea in the world, but everybody I have talked to so far, which is 4 or 5 people in the last week, where they're like, you should do it. I think that you should do it. I think, look at what you've done the last couple of years. Look at where you started to where you are now. I think that you will have absolutely no problem pulling this off. And to tell you guys the truth, I am so scared. I am immensely scared out of my wits. I don't know what is scaring me so much. I fully believe in myself and in my ability to make it a successful business, but I am terrified. I am terrified to take this risk. I am terrified to be on the hook for so much more than I've ever had the responsibility of being in charge of before. Because by doing this, I'll now be in charge of a lease for a building that is substantially more than my residential rent. I'll have the responsibility of taking out loans or lines of credit and, making some really big purchases right out the gate, spending more money than, maybe I've ever earned to get started. And it's a really scary thought. It's a really scary place to be in. But what's really weird about me being as scared as I am right now is that fear is almost completely outweighed by my excitement. That might sound weird, especially if you've never taken a risk like that, if you've never been in a position where you've had to make decisions like that, if you've never put yourself out there and done something so big that it scared you like that, you might not know what I'm talking about. But hearing me talk about it, some people might be able to relate. Some people may have been where I am right now. And some of you watching might eventually be where I am right now. And that's what this whole YouTube channel is. It's documenting my whole process of building Studio SB, building my businesses into everything that I want them to be one day. Because I know that, if everything goes according to plan, if I get super big and super successful, that there is someday going to come a point where I am no longer relatable. I will no longer be able to relate to my younger self, to, the younger generation of entrepreneurs and, people who are starting their businesses. And I'm fully prepared for that. It happens to everyone who reaches, a certain level of success. It's not that you necessarily forget who you are or where you came from, but it just becomes really hard to relate. A lot of things in your mindset change about who you talk to, who you surround yourself with, what information you're willing to give out. And obviously, I want to be one of those people who's as helpful and as transparent as possible. But everybody that you've seen, every big corporate owner, every celebrity who's been a celebrity for a long enough time, there comes a point when all these people hit a certain threshold where they no longer relate to the other 90% of the population. So I'm fully prepared for that. I'm fully prepared for one day, like I said, if everything goes according to plan, to not being able to relate anymore to the people that I'm speaking to currently. And it's a scary thought. I don't ever want people to lose faith or to hate me because I've gotten the success that I've gotten through working really hard. And that's part of the reason that I'm documenting this now, because one day I might not be able to relate, but today I can. Today I am scared. Today I have everything to lose and very, very little to fall back on. If I start this studio and it doesn't go well, I'm going to lose everything. The only thing that I will have that will be able to bounce me back from this is time. That is the only thing I can afford to waste right this very second. And I wouldn't even say waste. I don't want to say waste. That's not the right word. But it really is the only thing that I have to fall back on. It's like I could liquidate my accounts and sell whatever equipment and assets that I have to make up for the financial burden that could be. And I could start from zero again and just rebuild. That is the point that I am at. That is the point that very many people who watching this may be at or may soon encounter. And it's just a really weird place to be. But I'm very excited. I know that I've been talking forever, and I'm sorry. But I just wanted to tell you some things, give you some insight as to what has been going on with me the last couple weeks, last month. It just, the things that I think about at the point in my life that I am in right now. And like I said, I want to be as transparent and as helpful as possible because I too am still learning. I too am still figuring things out as I go along every single day. And I hope that the things that I go through, the things that I do, the risks that I take, whatever I get myself into, I hope that there is somebody out there who sees what I say to this camera, to YouTube, while sitting in this chair. I hope that they find it inspirational. I hope that they use it as a guide, as a support for what they want to do or what they might be getting themselves into on the same kind of alignment. So, that's where I'm at right now. I'm 27 years old. I feel like I haven't done much in the last couple years since I've been just building up my foundation. But I turned 27, I had a crisis, and now I think it's time to start taking some real risks and start trying to build something real. Start trying to show that, my 20s were not wasted on doing nothing or playing it totally safe. And it's scary. It's terrifying. Like, some people might have some more cojones than I do in business, and that's for certain. But I'll tell you what, if they said that they weren't a little bit scared, they're probably lying. Everybody's scared. Everybody's scared. Everybody plays the what if it doesn't work out game in their head. But what you have to do is you have to get over that fear if you want to build something that lasts, if you want to build something successful, if you want to build something that will, increase your longevity as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and that will overall better your quality of life. You have to take some risks, whether you like that idea or not. And most people, when they think about taking risks, it scares the crap out of them because they're afraid to lose, everything or half of what they have or their time or their money or whatever thing it may be. They're scared to lose it, so they never take any risks. But by not taking any risks at all, you get stuck exactly where you are forever. And sorry about that. My camera ran out of storage. Can you believe that? Anyway, as I was saying, you get to, you look back on your life and you may have built a life, but sometimes people just spend their lives in misery, man. And it's because they woke up and did the same thing every single day their entire life. They took no risks. They didn't do anything exciting. They went to work and they came home. Maybe they went on a couple family vacations throughout the years. Maybe they raised a family. But for the most part, until something new was integrated into their daily life, they just lived the same day on repeat over and over and over and over and over again. And there was no excitement. They never took any risks. They never tried to build anything that lasted and became their legacy. And that's what I want to do. I want to build a legacy. I don't exactly know what that legacy looks like right now. I don't know if it's living on forever through the internet, doing crazy things. I don't know if it's, building a bunch of studios. I don't know if it's just having my hand in 100 different pots. But I don't want to go into my later years knowing that I wasted my time, knowing that I didn't do anything exciting, knowing that I didn't take any risks and that I didn't try at all. Like, that's what scares me more, I think, than losing everything. So there's some food for thought for you today. I hope that somebody who sees this finds it inspiring, finds it helpful, finds some use for it at all. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for you today. Sorry that I feel like I talked forever, man. I'm sorry for that. But we're going to get back to this on a regular basis. We're going to get back to me sitting here, me talking about things, me doing things. My first video of the year, I think, maybe second, one of my early videos this year, I talked about where I've been, what I've been doing. I've been trying to catch up on some old projects, work on some music, which I know some of you listened to. I don't know how you found it, but you did. Thank you for showing me some support on that. There is one project that I have been trying to get done for months that I just completed, and I'm actually getting ready to prep right now to be uploaded on all platforms. So now that that's out of the way, that is off my plate, and pretty much everything else has been taken care of, I can finally get back to doing this and thinking about this full time. So what can we expect in the next couple months, in the rest of 2026? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, if I go through on this, signing this lease and getting this building, I'll be documenting building my studio. I'll be documenting the whole process of building it, of launching it, of, bringing this idea that I've had in my head to fruition. I also have one more secret for you. I talked a little bit about it in that video, that same video, and I'm not ready to share it with you quite yet, but I will make a video dedicated to it because I'm very excited and some things are finally in place that I feel like I can talk about it. So maybe I'll do that next week or the week after. I have a couple videos that I want to make in the meantime. But for right now, all my things are done. Everything I wanted to get done is done, and I can finally get back to YouTube. And I'm very excited to share with you what may be taking place in 2026. It's going to be a big, big year for this channel, for me, for the business, and hopefully for all of you guys. So with that being said, I will see you very, very soon. But before I get out of here, if you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you want to talk about the risks that you've taken, advice that you have for me or that you want me to give you, go ahead and leave me a comment. I'd love to chat with you guys, hear about your ideas, hear about, your big dreams, and hear if this is going to help you finally pull the trigger on some of those. And then lastly, if you want to see more videos like this, you want to see what crazy adventures I get up to in the future, because, there's going to be some crazy adventures in the future. Tell you that. Or if you just want to see more of my face, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And I will see you on the next one.